Okay, welcome to an edition of The Right Call, and as always, here with my partner in crime, Cole Altman. Cole, great to see you.
Nice to see you as well. It's been a while, gotta admit.
Well, Cole, thanks to you, we're doing the show hopefully a little more regularly moving forward, and I promise our listeners, I don't want to scare you off in the beginning of the show. We just have a quick Red Sox note. Don't be deterred. We're not going to spend much time on the Red Sox. I just have two things to say about the Red Sox, and then, Cole, you can have a thought, and then we'll move on to meaningful things.
I'd prefer to have zero thoughts on the Red Sox.
Okay, well, that's fair. First of all, I just want to say that I saw something come across social media the other day that said the Red Sox have officially been eliminated. And I had to laugh because I felt like the Red Sox were eliminated back in June. They were so atrocious all season. And I just want to say that the MVP of this year's Red Sox team, none other than John Schreiber. John Schreiber, who I literally think made 100 appearances, because every time I turned on the game he was on, he probably was the only pitcher on the team that was consistent from the beginning to the end of the season.
I mean, that's probably true. But even him, he had some rough patches during the year.
Yeah, and I want our listeners to know, go Mets. Yeah, go Mets.
No way you're rooting for a New York team.
Well, if I'm worried they're going to face the Yankees, so I would root for the Mets if they play each other.
That would make sense. But if you're rooting for the Mets, come on now.
All right, Cole. And one other non-football note: Blake Griffin.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
Blake, is he going to bring the Kardashians with him, or is it just him?
I think he is. I mean, I'm a big fan of Blake Griffin. I love his game style. I think he'll bring energy to the Celtics, and honestly, he'll be a good guy off the bench for the C's.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I thought I just heard big fan and Blake Griffin in the same sentence. Did you actually just say you're a big fan of Blake Griffin?
I mean,
you can run faster right now than Blake Griffin.
He was a great participant on the Comedy Central roast.
He was amazing on the Comedy Central roast.
He was tremendous.
If you haven't seen Jeff Ross in the comedy roast battle against Blake Griffin, you're missing out in life. I mean, Blake Griffin was at an unbelievable clip of comedy in that roast.
Agreed.
All right, let's get to the football. Let's get to the NFL. Let's get to what really matters. And Cole, I got to start out with the Patriots. And I was reflecting on the Patriots, and I have a thought. I was actually comparing them to the Jets. And I thought to myself, if I could have the Jets roster right now or the Patriots roster, who would I choose? And I thought to myself, well, let's look at future weapons. Let's look at building blocks, okay? Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, who the heck knows? Still too early to tell. With Mac Jones, if anything, he's had some setbacks this year. He's taken a step backwards, but that's probably because Matt Patricia's coaching offense, but that's for another day. This is what I'm thinking, Cole. Tell me if you can buy this logic. If I'm a Jets fan, I've got Garrett Wilson, who looks like a really solid receiver, like top-level potential receiver.
Absolutely.
You've got Elijah Moore, who looks like a pretty good receiver.
He looks like a fine wide receiver 2 on a team. Okay. Maybe wide receiver 3.
How about, he's a Joe Flacco throwing to him. At the end of last season, he was really good. Let's bring Zach Wilson back and see his upside.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm skeptical.
He's got Breece Hall at running back.
Yep.
High upside, right?
Yep.
Okay. So 3 potentially very solid to high-end offensive players. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay. Now let's look at the Patriots. You've got Ramondre Stevenson, who I love. Like, I think he really could end up being a top back in the NFL. Do you agree?
A top back in the NFL?
Equivalent to Breece Hall?
No.
You see a higher upside for Breece Hall?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Breece Hall is a combination of quickness and strength.
What have you been at the scouting combine, like scouting Breece Hall?
No, I just spend way, way too much time looking at fantasy football, and I watch film, and I do all this, and I watch Breece Hall play, and I watch Ramondre Stevenson play. Ramondre Stevenson's kind of one-sided. He doesn't receive.
Okay, that's a fantasy evaluation.
No, it's not. Because Breece Hall has so many aspects to his game. He's fast, he's strong, he's like a smaller version of Derrick Henry. And Breece Hall has so much incredible upside.
So just curiosity, could you share with our listeners what Tyler Conklin's 40-yard dash was in the scouting combine? I mean, because I don't know if we're going to go into deeper level scouting of Breece Hall.
You know what? I love Breece Hall. Great player.
You're cheating on Cooper Kupp again.
Ramondre Stevenson is a little
okay, so we're going to agree to disagree.
Here.
But the bottom line is, when you look at the Patriots' offensive players, there's one building block, Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris is going to be gone after this season anyway. The Patriots aren't going to re-sign him. Tyquan Thornton, who the hell knows with Tyquan Thornton? I mean, maybe he could be a building block. But the reason why I compared to the Jets roster, because the Patriots are in sports purgatory. They are in no man's land. They're not good enough to compete to be a champion, and they're not bad enough to be downright awful. They're just good enough to be competitive, barely competitive. And I'm sitting there like, there's so many problems with the Patriots. You know, on defense, there's only one real building block to me, and that's Christian Barmore.
Oh, Kyle Duggar, come on now.
You're right. I forgot about Kyle Duggar. I would agree with that. But, like, what happened to this team? Like, they have so few, like, players that you turn on the TV and you're like, wow, that's an impact player. Like, where are all the impact players on both sides of the ball?
Honestly, I think the problem is poor drafting. And you've had so many opportunities to get high quality players. I mean, last year they could have gotten Malcolm Rodriguez, like the Lions got a couple years ago.
Rodrigo.
Let's
call him by his appropriate nickname from Hard Knocks.
Indeed.
Okay.
Instead of N'Keal Harry, they could have gotten Justin Jefferson. They could have gotten Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Wait,
Brown.
are you saying Justin Jefferson's better than N'Keal Harry?
No, I don't want to go that far.
Okay.
I don't want to go that far.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, they could have gotten so many guys. They could have taken what's his name? Could have taken DeAndre Swift over Ramondre Stevenson. So there's so many places where they could have gotten that extra step, but they just really haven't been able to capitalize on big opportunities.
So, you know, when we talk about the Patriots, you know, people talk about Mac Jones' development and what they're going to do the rest of the season. I'm bored with the Patriots. I'm bored with them. They don't excite me. They don't have a lot of players that excite me. And the only reason they beat the Steelers is because the Steelers suck. Their Steelers are a bad team this year. They're going to have their first year under 500 under Mike Tomlin.
Really?
So,
wow, I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
First time, 21 years.
Tremendous coach.
They have no, he's horrible.
He's an amazing. Are you kidding me?
Are we talking about the same guy?
He's an amazing offensive mind. Amazing offensive mind.
Let me tell you something. You know what Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers have in common?
What?
King of the regular season. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, Mike Tomlin won a couple of Super Bowls with Ben Roethlisberger. Listen, all we need to know about Mike Tomlin is every time they went against the Patriots in the playoffs, he played zone defense against Tom Brady and the Patriots. No adjustments, no adaptations. The Patriots pummeled them year after year because Mike Tomlin is not familiar with the word adjustments.
Mike Tomlin's a tremendous coach.
Oh.
He's not a good defensive coach at all. He's an amazing offensive mind. If you look at Pittsburgh the last 20 years, they've had tremendous offenses. From Jerome Bettis to Antonio Brown to Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you've had so many guys, so many stars in that offense who have been developed from the ground up on their draft day to when they retired. So I love Mike Tomlin as an offensive coach, but overall he's definitely a leader.
All right, well, let's continue on, Cole, in the AFC East because the Bills-Dolphins game last week, lots of Dolphins fans talking trash on social media about how they beat the Bills. You know, there is that small detail that Buffalo was missing half their defense in that game, and it was in Miami, but lots of trash talking from Miami in that game. Frankly, Buffalo should have won that game. They had 2.5 times the offensive output in that game, and or not 2.5 times, more offensive output in that game, and Tyler Bass just missed that field goal, and they should have won. The reality is Miami came back to life against Cincinnati. Tua got hurt, yes, but Teddy Bridgewater was actually pretty respectable in the place. When you look at that division, Cole, and you look at the AFC East, has Miami made up any ground on Buffalo? And if Buffalo is healthy when it matters heading into the playoffs, aren't they still the team to beat regardless?
I would like to point out two things. The Dolphins have definitely gained some ground on the Bills. Tyreek Hill has made such an impact on that team. Having Javon Holland, he's already a top 6 safety, and he's 24. And so, what are you smiling at?
I mean, I just love the reference to Javon Holland. Your scouting department has really picked up.
Listen, I want to be a sports analyst when I grow up.
I love it.
That. I want to be a sports analyst.
You've elevated your game.
I appreciate it. So,
okay.
I mean, the Dolphins have definitely gained some ground on the Bills, but not only are the Bills the team to beat, I don't see anyone beating.
What's the budget of your scouting department?
Oh, my Lord.
Do you pay your scouts well?
So, my scouting department is a little website I like to call Fantasy Pros.
Okay.
I pay $40.
But you wouldn't know about Javon Holland from Fantasy Pros.
That's true. That's
so where
true.
are you getting your scouting of Dolphins secondary guys?
You know what? I listen to the announcers, and the announcers do provide a lot of big knowledge.
Well done.
Announcers provide a lot of well done.
Okay, continue. I digress.
The Bills are not only the team to beat. I don't see anyone beating them. They have both sides of the ball. They're elite. They have the best offense and the best defense in the league. Like, how do you beat that? Josh Allen threw for 400 yards in a game that they lost. So in the Bills, they may have struggled this year. They don't have Tre'Davious White for more than half the season, and
now they lost Micah Hyde for the
Hyde's
season.
out for the season, so they may struggle a little bit there. But I honestly think their offense could outscore people. And I'm going to move on to you before I throw another pen at you.
Okay. So anyway, fair enough on Buffalo and Miami. I agree with you on Buffalo. Big clash coming this Sunday, Buffalo taking on Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has looked downright amazing the first few weeks of the season. To me, the quarterback battle was always Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes going into the season, and Lamar Jackson has really elevated his game. However, I don't think Baltimore can stop anybody. Their defense is a disaster. I mean, The Patriots torched their defense, the Patriots offense. So I'm not a believer in Baltimore. I am a believer in Lamar Jackson, and especially now that J.K. Dobbins is back. He didn't do anything this first game, but I think Baltimore's could be pretty dynamic offensively, but they don't have the defense to match up with a Buffalo. I don't even know if their defense is as good as Kansas City, frankly.
Yeah, Kansas City's defense or Baltimore's defense is pretty poor, and I think it's important to remember that with J.K. Dobbins, he's averaging over 4 yards a carry in his first game. And so he definitely has some upside. He's really quick. He's really athletic. And Lamar Jackson averaging over 15 yards a carry, over 100 yards in 2 straight games, a rushing touchdown in 2 straight games, and he's looking like a superstar out there. He's looked pretty much unstoppable against 2 pretty solid defenses.
And now you have to wonder, Cole, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson reached an impasse in their contract negotiations in the offseason.
Yes.
So did that motivate Lamar? I mean, I don't think he's playing harder necessarily than he's played in the past, but he does look better. Like something looks different.
Well, I honestly think it's this. I think that they've been more careful with him now that his injuries have had an impact on him, and they've changed up his game style in the offseason.
He ran all over the Patriots. He wasn't conservative.
It's not his running that's changed. He's less wild with his jukes and his jumps and stuff like that, and he's being more efficient on the ground and in the air. So I think that they're trying to limit the amount of possibilities where he can get injured. They're being smarter with him, and I think defenses have realized that, and it's starting to hurt the defenses because the defenses are playing against that, and Baltimore's exploiting their weakness.
All right, let's spend a little time talking about the AFC West, which is probably the most underachieving, disappointing division in football. You have the Chiefs that just lost to the Colts, who the Colts couldn't beat anybody. You've got the Chargers, who apparently forgot the Jaguars were a professional football team. At home, they got lambasted. Word of the week warning, lambasted.
Absolutely, should be.
So the Chargers don't show up. They're 1-2. We've got the Broncos, who I have serious questions about Russell Wilson's skill set at this point, after even before his finger injury, not playing that well this year. He has looked terrible. Granted, they've had some tough matchups, but he just doesn't look in sync with the offense. And we have the Raiders, but I'm going to let the Raiders be its own topic. So the winless Josh McDaniel failure Raiders. So let's start here, Cole. The Broncos and Russell Wilson, I mean, this was a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They don't look anything like a Super Bowl contender.
To be honest, I'm a big Russell Wilson believer. I think it's a little...
Really?
I think it's a little too early to give up on... Not a little too early. I think it's definitely too early to give up on Russell Wilson. Keep in mind, he was on the same offense for 11 years, and it's his first 3 weeks on a new team, and that's not easy to adjust to. So I'd keep an open mind with Russell Wilson. Yes, it looks like his skills have declined, but also before his finger injury, mallet finger like you have...
it's true.
You do.
I have 2 of them.
You have 2 of them. I don't know what's wrong.
I would show it, but I don't want to give people the finger.
Yes. Before his...
I can't do air quotes, though, with the mallet finger. It kills me because the finger's kind of bent over already. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Frustrating. He was putting up... He had over 250 yards passing 4 of the 6 games before he had his mallet finger injury. So I think it's really important to remember his
How many yards passing?
over 250 yards
Are we celebrating 250 yards passing in today's NFL?
before his mallet finger injury. Also, I'd like to.
I think Baker Mayfield throws for 250 yards. I don't know. That's the standard bear of 250 yards.
Period. End of story. It's too early to give up on Russell Wilson.
Can you, for our audience, I know you've been really excited about this. Before we move on to the Raiders, could you please pronounce the last name of Denver's starting tight end?
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
Albert Okwuegbunam.
Okwuegbunam?
Okwuegbunam.
Okwuegbunam.
Albert Okwuegbunam.
Okay, say that 2 times fast.
Albert Okwuegbunam. Albert Okwuegbunam.
Very nice. That's nice. All right, Raiders. Let's talk about the Raiders real quick. Here we go again with Josh McDaniel. This time it's going to be better. This time it's going to be different. Josh McDaniels goes to the Raiders, and they go bring in Devontae Adams, Derek Carr's chum from childhood. They bring in Chandler Jones. They import all these free agents, and he gets all this talent and spends all this money. The Raiders suck. And frankly, by the way, great trivia question. Mac Hollins, right? You ready for this? Not only has led the team in receiving the last 2 weeks, has almost 3 times as much yardage as the second leading receiver on the Raiders, who, by the way, any idea who that is, Cole?
Second leading receiver on the Raiders.
In the last 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks, it should be...
If you wanted to guess...
Darren Waller,
Devontae Adams, or Hunter Renfrow, who's been hurt, you'd be wrong. It would be Foster Moreau. So almost 300 yards from those 2 guys. The other guys aren't even doing anything. Josh Jacobs is horrible. And so
is Jeremy Jacobs.
This is my well done. So this is my question. Does Josh McDaniels know that to actually win in the NFL, you actually have to have a defense too? Their defense is terrible, can't stop anybody. Is Josh McDaniels even going to last beyond this year? He's already been talked to by Al Davis's son, Mark Davis. They've already had a sit down 3 games into the season.
I think it's important to show some patience with the Raiders, just like the Broncos.
Okay, I can't wait to hear this rationale.
Keep in mind.
By the way, Broncos coach, new coach, he brings in a consultant to help manage the game because he doesn't know how to manage a game 3 games into the season.
Okay, Nathaniel Hackett's just an idiot.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead. Why are we patient with the Raiders?
You bring in Devontae Adams. He's the number 1 receiver there, clearly. That messes up the whole offense in a good way. But it also displaces Hunter Renfrow. He doesn't know what to do with himself now. He fumbles twice in the overtime. He doesn't know how to stay in his role, and that's going to take a few games to adjust to. Same thing with Darren Waller, and you're seeing guys like Mac Hollins take advantage of those opportunities because those guys are still trying to find their way around the field and adjust to Devontae Adams. So I think that it's important to realize patience with these 2 teams because they've had so many big adjustments during the offseason, and I think we'll see some special things late in the season.
Is this what you projected out of Mac Hollins when you saw him at the scouting combine?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I was all over Mac Hollins. Right. You know it.
Okay. So let's go to the NFC and some thoughts in our last few minutes of the show. My pal Bill Fleckenstein, a shout out to you, a Philadelphia fan, and Bill's an amazing guy. Actually, so many good qualities. Unfortunately, he's very flawed as a Philadelphia fan, but. Let's talk about the Eagles, Cole. I am sold. I am buying the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has really matured and emerged. The weapons, Devonta Smith looks good. A.J. Brown looks good. Dallas Goedert has emerged to be one of the top 5 tight ends in football. The secondary is unbelievable. While the Patriots were sleeping on James Bradbury when the Giants cut him, the Eagles scooped him up. The Eagles' defense looks really good. I mean, that is a team, to me, when you look at who's coming out of the NFC right now, they're in the top 2 or 3 teams for sure, in my opinion, the NFC.
So I'm not sold on their defense. I think Darius Slay's a bit overrated. I think he's just committing a lot of penalties.
Matt Patricia thought he was done.
I don't think he's done.
How did he do against Justin Jefferson on Monday Night Football?
He was holding him up and down the field, but then we can get to that next time because I'm just in love with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But the one thing I am sold on Philadelphia is their offensive line. You have Jason Kelce, who's the best center in the league.
I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. Keep going.
You just have so much talent. You have so much young talent on that offensive line.
I think I'm going to have to turn over the host seat to you permanently.
Yeah, maybe you will.
First we're on Javon Hall and the Dolphins. Now we're scouting the Eagles' offensive line. Okay, go ahead.
And I honestly think that Miles Sanders has improved his running.
I'm going to cry. This is a passing of the torch today, I think. Okay, go ahead.
Miles Sanders' running efficiency has really, really been superior to what it has been the last 2 years, and we saw that back in 2019. His talent's there. He just hasn't been able to get the workload, and he's been hurt on and off. So Miles Sanders and the offensive line will be the key to continued success for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I like them.
All right. Let's go to the Cowboys. Two other teams I want to cover in the NFC divisions. Cowboys. So Cooper Rush has done an amazing job the last 2 weeks. And I look at Dak Prescott's struggle and inability to win. And I got to be honest with you, if I'm a Cowboys fan right now, Dak Prescott's about to come back in a week or so. If I'm a Cowboys fan and Dak Prescott comes back and that finger injury continues to linger and he doesn't look right, honestly, I'm giving serious consideration to going back to Cooper Rush. What do you think? And will the Cowboys have the guts to do it after they just gave him that big contract?
You know, it would be a ballsy move. It would really be a ballsy move. It would be a message to send to Dak Prescott saying this job isn't automatically yours. And I honestly think that may be good for Dak. It may push him a little bit. It may make him feel a little unsettled, and it may make him want to work harder. Cooper Rush is a good quarterback. He's not bad. He's led the Cowboys to 2 pretty significant wins. And who knows if that's just his weapons, because the Cowboys have so many great weapons. You see Tony Pollard running for 100 yards last game. You see CeeDee Lamb. He had a tremendous game last week. And Cooper Rush is talented. There's no doubt about it. I think the job is Dak's.
You know what just occurred to me, Cole? We're seeing a passing of the torch in the East and West divisions in football. The AFC East, over the last several years, had often been referred to as the AFC least. Patriots were the only real good team in the division. Now Buffalo's great. Miami's coming up. And then the AFC West, Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, always a really good division. Well, it's been the reverse so far. In the NFC, same thing. Giants, Eagles, Cowboys has been the laughingstock division. The Giants look pretty good. Cowboys have won a couple of games. In the NFC West, first of all, the Rams, Matt Stafford doesn't look right. The Rams' offense doesn't look right. They have Super Bowl hangover, but I just don't think they look right. The 49ers, every time I see Jimmy G take the field, I want to turn away from the TV. He sucks. Jimmy G sucks. The amount of weapons and talent they have on both sides of the ball in San Francisco that are being wasted with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback is discerning. And in Arizona, another disappointing team. You look at Arizona, Kyler Murray, I'm so sick and tired of people talking about fantasy football Kyler Murray. He may put up good fantasy numbers. It's hard to argue that, although he hasn't even been as good in that regard. But Kyler Murray, man, study the playbook. You don't look good. You are so dependent on DeAndre Hopkins that when he's not there, your team is a disaster. And yes, I know he can scamper around the field. He's got a speed. But Arizona's a mess. The Rams don't look good, and they're going to underachieve. And the Niners, who the hell knows what they're going to do with Jimmy G?
I'd want to go back to the Cardinals for a second. I've always been a big Cardinals guy. I love their logo.
What's with the apologist slant with the Raiders and the Broncos?
I think you're being a little short with these teams, if I'm going to be honest. I think the Cardinals...
the Cardinals going to finish over 500?
Yes, they will.
Really?
They will. DeAndre Hopkins...
What's their final record?
What's their record right now?
I think it's 1-2.
I'd have to see their...
And the only one they have was that game against the Raiders where Josh McDaniels pulled out the I'll try everything I can to lose this game for my team playbook. So they're 1-2 with that win to the Raiders. They didn't even deserve to win.
I said they end 10-7.
Okay. So they're going to go 9-5 in their final 14 games.
I think that...
Pipe dream.
Pipe dream? You're a pipe dream.
Raiders, what are they going to finish, Mr. Apologist? 0-3. What are they going to finish? 10-7, right?
No, 7-10.
Okay, so they're going to go 4-7 their last... No. What'd you say, 7-10?
Yeah.
So they're going to go 7-7 in their final 14 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders. I think we're being short with the Raiders, but I don't think they're going to be that good.
I think at best they go 5-9, and maybe in a everything plays out 6-8.
You think that they will go 5-12?
I do. I think they're going to be hard pressed to win one division game.
No way.
They're not as good as the Chiefs, Chargers, or Broncos.
Oh, they were better than the Chargers. You're out of your mind.
The Chargers and Broncos both have really good defenses and offense. The Raiders can't go, although the Broncos' offense is underachieved.
Oh, yeah, Chargers really have a good defense, laying up 38 points to the Jaguars.
Well, they lost Bosa.
Oh, my God. You did not just say that.
I did.
Oh, it's all right. We can let up 38 points to James Robinson, but it's okay because we lost Joey Bosa.
That cost me my fantasy matchup. Don't remind me. All right, Cole, final thoughts on the right call. We have the Patriots going against Green Bay this weekend. I am going to be at Lambeau Field to see the game. I have never been more excited to see Brian Hoyer at the helm. So, Cole, what's going to happen in that game on Sunday?
Not only are the Patriots going to get bombarded, Aaron Rodgers is going to have a chip on his shoulder because this is the first time the Packers have played the Patriots since Tom Brady left.
Is that right?
It is.
Oh.
Because it's been they play every 4 years. And 4 years ago, they had Brady.
Yeah, I have no confidence, not only because Mac Jones isn't playing, because Aaron Rodgers is the king of the regular season.
He's so good in the regular season.
He gets it done in the regular season.
So good.
Let's be honest. He finds a way.
Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be an embarrassing game for the Patriots. They're going to get wiped out. They're going to go home crying. The Patriots are a terrible team, and the Packers are an underrated team. You're going to see a big performance from Alan Lazard if he plays, and the Packers defense is really underrated.
All right, and a final message for all NFL general managers. If you want to learn more about Cole's scouting team, it's hockeyman201644@gmail.com. Please reach out because Cole is interested in helping your scouting.
I'm actually impressed that you just remembered my email.
Isn't that great with all those numbers in there?
That was pretty impressive.
For a guy my age?
Yeah, great job.
All right, thank you very much. All right, for the right call, he's
Cole Altman.
I'm Mark Altman. We'll see you next time.